Well, thank you for joining us. I'm Marty Mongiello at the Inn of the Patriots, home of the Presidential Culinary Museum and the Presidential Service Center, the United States Presidential Service Center. Today, I would like to share about training and development in real business settings. Very important. Taking university studies actually to the street and putting them to use to make money in business. I'm at the John F. Kennedy School of Psychology and Social Sciences at National University. I'm studying for my doctorate in industrial organizational psychology. This is class 8407, version 1, and Dr. Lisa Teeter is my professor. Over the course of a couple of days, starting on September 24th, I worked on training and development for undergraduate business majors. And this presentation was focused on sharing this with undergraduate business majors. So that's why I felt it was so important to mention bringing this to work and actually making money off it is really important. And why organizations invest in training? Well, the purpose and importance of training cannot be overemphasized. Training is a cornerstone of organizational success, providing employees with the skills necessary to perform effectively and adapt to change. And as Landy and Conti in 2013 explained, training strengthens organizational competitiveness by building a capable workforce. The role in competitiveness, performance, retention, discussed by Portugues, Castro, and Castillo Martinez this year, stress the importance of developing targeted training programs and assessment tools to cultivate these competencies in future leaders. And is particularly relevant for business schools, which play a crucial role in preparing students to address complex global challenges. Training is the cornerstone of organizational success and provides employees with the skills necessary to perform effectively and adapt to change. And as Landy and Conti explain, training strengthens organizational competitiveness by building a capable workforce. So super important. We see the emphasis of its role in compliance, innovation, and employee retention. But beyond technical skill, training fosters morale and engagement while serving as a safeguard against costly errors and, of course, legal risks. Organizations that consistently teach and train are valued as learning centers for advancement and progress to the next step. And training versus development. So training is current job skills. It's important to actually experience. Development, future-oriented growth. And examples of both. So again, I would like to just explain in detail how important it is to experience real business settings that conduct training and development as well as learning about it at the university. Training is typically designed to meet immediate needs, such as technical skill acquisition, while development prepares employees for long-term growth, leadership, and adaptability. Goldstein and Ford in 2002 described training as tactical, addressing specific tasks, while development is strategic, aligning with succession planning and organizational growth. For instance, training may cover customer service systems, while development programs might groom individuals for leadership roles. The distinction ensures short and long-term growth for all team members. And here I am actually training and teaching at the Inn of the Patriots. So seeing is doing, is believing. Diagnosing training needs. You might go through organizational analysis, task analysis, the actual person analysis. I have here a study that I'm featuring up on the top right of the corner here, 100 years of training and development research, what we know and where we should go. So Bell et al. In 2017 specifically notes that Training needs analysis is the process of identifying what must be learned at the individual, team, and organizational level. This corresponds directly to three classic levels of analysis mentioned. So you've got organizational analysis, task analysis, and the actual person analysis, focusing on the needs of the individual. And this article highlighted that although this process is widely regarded as one of the most important steps in developing training, it has received surprisingly little direct research attention. Effective training begins with a thorough needs assessment, which Goldstein and Ford in 2002 identified three critical layers: the organizational analysis, which aligns training with strategic goals; task analysis, which identifies skills and knowledge tied to specific jobs; and person analysis, which determines which employees need training and in what areas. So when we reinforce the training needs analysis ensures efficient allocation of resources and maximizes training outcomes, we do fantastic in teams. And the individual and organizational success factors. So the individual readiness, motivation, self-efficacy, and knowledge. I want to just say self-efficacy is, the you believe in yourself, you think you could learn this, you think you could do it, and you would be successful to take it to the street. It's kind of like if I was to try to explain in street terms what self-efficacy means as a fancy two words. That'd be how I would explain it. So organizationally, support from leadership, resource allocation, and a strong learning climate are essential. When both elements align, employees are more likely to transfer learning to the workplace and drive organizational effectiveness. And here we are with a huge team taking it to the street at Quail Hollow Country Club in Charlotte, North Carolina, raising $567,000 at a charity dinner one night for cystic fibrosis. And yes, it was the most amount of money they had ever raised in history. Broke all records for 30 years. Successful training requires a combination of individual and organizational readiness. On the individual side, factors such as self-efficacy, motivation, and prior knowledge in that industry or field could play crucial roles. And organizationally, support from leadership, resource allocation, and a strong learning climate are essential. When both elements align, employees are more likely to transfer learning to the workplace and drive organizational effectiveness. Organizationally, support from leadership, resource allocation, and a strong learning climate are essential. When both elements align, employees are more likely to transfer learning to the workplace and drive organizational effectiveness. I know I said that. I just would like to repeat that from Bell et al. In 2017, Goldstein and Ford in 2002, and La Carenza in 2017. This is what you can expect to have happen. So 3 kinds of training delivery methods. And these are not all of them, these are just 3. But one that I love, instructor-led classroom. And get the students talking, get them doing, get them learning, studying, reading, watching videos, doing, chopping, slicing, dicing, working, doing. E-learn digital modules in VR and also using artificial intelligence, critical. This is 2025, okay? I have friends that can't even make it to the year of 1990 with email. And I've pretty much removed email from all forms of my life. Okay, it's just a thing from like 10 years ago, emailing somebody. So, experiential, on the job, taking it to the street. The classroom-based instruction remains one of the most traditional delivery methods, offering structured learning and opportunities for interaction. However, it can be costly and less flexible for large or dispersed organizations. E-learning has gained prominence for its scalability, accessibility, and cost efficiency, though it often suffers from lower engagement and reduced transfer if not supported by strong organizational context. Trust me, I know this, teaching 300 to 400 people on Zoom, cooking, you have got to have strong organizational context. Sometimes that will require 2 co-hosts in addition to me and as many as 4 other chefs in the kitchen. Coaching and mentoring provide highly personalized development, enhancing motivation and self-efficacy, but these methods can be resource intensive and dependent on the quality of the coach-participant relationship. Collectively, these methods highlight that no single approach is universally effective. Instead, delivery methods must be matched to organizational needs, your team, learning objectives, and the support systems in place. And diversity awareness and bias reduction. Wellness and stress management, mental health, and work-life balance. So modern organizations obviously recognize that sustaining high performance requires attention not only to skills training, but also to diversity, well-being, and psychological health. Inclusive diversity approaches have been shown to play a critical role in attracting and retaining all kinds of underrepresented groups, but particularly LGBTQIA employees by fostering belonging and reducing turnover. And leadership competencies tied to innovability, another fancy word I'm going to whip out, means future thinking, open to new ideas, looking, at the year 2030, being very receptive to methodologies, modalities of instruction, new things going on in the marketplace. Further emphasize the importance of creating cultures that encourage awareness and openness, allowing diverse perspectives to fuel innovation and sustainable development. Bias reduction is central to these efforts, with mindset interventions demonstrating the ability to mitigate prejudice and support inclusive practices that extend beyond compliance into meaningful cultural change. At the same time, organizational wellness initiatives provide essential foundations for employee health with strategic programs targeting stress management, mental health, holistic well-being linked to greater resilience and long-term productivity. Together, these insights highlight that training and development must extend beyond technical skills to embrace diversity awareness, psychological safety, and work-life balance as integral elements of organizational effectiveness. This is all about diversity and wellness and training. Research study number 1. This is a large-scale study of effective and workplace coaching, the relative contributions of relationship, personality match, and self-efficacy. And also, I would like to mention to please see, besides this study from Dahan et al., but also see from just last year, Enhancing Organizational Well-Being and Employee Health with Strategic and Holistic Approaches for Primary and Allied Healthcare Providers. This was in the Journal of International Multidisciplinary Applied Business and Education Research. And best practices that organizations can use based on these studies to enhance their training programs based on the research. So reinforcement, leadership support. And this large-scale study by Dahan, Grant, Berger, and Erickson, it found that the effectiveness of executive and workplace coaching is most strongly predicted by 2 factors: the quality of the coach and the coachee working alliance, and the coachee's self-efficacy. So they had about 1,895 coach-coachee pairs, and they went across 34 countries, and the results showed that personality traits and personality matching between the coach and the coachee did not significantly influence outcomes. The personality traits and personality matching between the coach and the coachee did not significantly influence outcomes. How do you like that? Instead, a strong working alliance, particularly the task and goal aspects, was actually the key driver of perceived effectiveness. Self-efficacy also mattered, but its effect was often mediated by the strength of the relationship. In short, coaching works best when coachees feel confident, and when the coach-coachee partnership is collaborative, focused, and goal-oriented. So this was a large-scale study of executive and workplace coaching and the relative contributions of relationship, personality match, and self-efficacy. Pretty surprising. Again, best practices that organizations can use to enhance their training programs based on this research. Research study number 2. This one was leadership training design, delivery, and implementation, a meta-analysis by La Carenza. And this dealt with best practices, blended learning, and peer support. This is a 2017 meta-analysis by La Carenza, Reyes, Marlowe, Joseph, and Salas. And 335 independent studies, over 26,000 participants, evaluating leadership training effectiveness across 4 outcomes: the reactions, the learning, the transfer, and the results. And please also see Portugues Castro, Margarito Castillo Martinez from this year, 2025, on leadership competencies for innovability, bridging theory and practice for sustainable development. This was in a Journal of Entrepreneurship, Management, and Innovation just this year. It's just a couple of weeks old. So both of these studies I've mentioned, research study number 1 and number 2, were actual required references for this particular class, but please also take a look at these that I've outlined for you. In the 2017 meta-analysis reviewed, as I said, 335 independent studies to evaluate leadership training effectiveness across 4 outcomes. So they studied research into reactions, learning, transfer, and results. And the study found leadership training to be highly effective. Its Cohen score was a score of 76, which is pretty high, guys, because when you're looking at that Cohen scale, it's like 20 is low, not very good, 50, the median, 70, you did pretty good. So it's got a 76, and the strongest effects was transfer of knowledge, an 82, that's a high score. Followed by learning, 73, another high score. Results, 72, another high score. Reactions, 63, well above the median. Importantly, training worked best when it included certain design and delivery features, conducting a needs analysis, using multiple methods. I know I just covered that on the slide before. Several different training methods you could be using. Certainly those 3 were not all of them, but especially practice-based activities got high marks, incorporating feedback, ideally 360-degree feedback, and spacing sessions out rather than massing them together, and delivering training face-to-face and on-site, and ensuring organizational support and voluntary attendance. How about that one? How do you like hearing that? Voluntary attendance. The findings show that leadership training is substantially more effective than previously thought, but only when carefully designed and implemented to align with organizational needs and to promote real-world application. Real-world application. I know I mentioned that in the beginning, and I was showing companies that I own, and some people were like, yeah. But now here we see it in the study, real-world application. And that's very important in today's artificial intelligence, knowledge overload. You can be sitting there and talking with people, and they'll tell you how, like, they have, 5 different business plans they're evaluating, and they built their website in less than 20 minutes, and, It's information overload, but the real world application is very important. And evaluating training effectiveness, is very important, because why do it if you can't evaluate it, right? So before, do a needs analysis. During, build practice heavy spaced feedback rich sessions. Capture alliance and self-efficacy. After, track behavioral application, manager reinforcement, well-being, DEI outcomes, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and innovability. Your KPIs are going to be alongside results of ROI. So your key point indicators, if you want to call them milestones or litmus test, will be alongside the results and ROI, return on investment. Again, return on investment. Where's the cash? How much money are we making? Get out of the egghead university mentality. Those who can't do, teach. And this is why it's very important for people like me, as a professor with 5,410 graduates, that I'm also doing and teaching. And I can tell you, my doctor, Dr. Teeter, is amazing. She has gone out there and been in business like you wouldn't even understand across the earth. So doing and teaching. And always compare your effects to research benchmarks. So we have these research benchmarks. You can get them for industries and easily see how am I doing. Okay. In business planning, 150-page business plans with 60 pages of pro forma. We have comparables and comparatives, industry comparatives. We could see, like, my business plan is not so good. It doesn't even meet like the industry comp for this particular industry. So research benchmarks. In short, your traditional model tells you if people liked, learned, used, and delivered results. The contemporary model tells you why, for whom, under what supports, and whether the program also moves the needles that matter now. And these are the needles in 2025: inclusion, wellness, and sustainable innovation. You've got to focus and pay attention to those. In conclusion, train like it matters in the real world of business operations and actual real companies. My summary and best practices is: start with the real needs analysis, have a crystal clear objective tied to strategy, design for transfer, enable the job, uplift people with manager reinforcement and peer coaching, and chances to apply those skills within 72 hours is awesome. Measure the full stack: reactions, learning, behavior, results, DEI, wellness, and innovability, and iterate the data. Compare it to research benchmarks, industry comparables, then start to close your gaps and scale what works. And I can't begin to tell you on Scale What Works, how many comments and feedback I got here over the years of 18 years at this property. Stop doing this, start doing that. You need this, Martin. You just listen to your guests. You could call them customers if you want them. I like to refer to them as guests. So train is a one-off workshop. It's a system, before, during, and after. And if we align needs, design for transfer, support use on the job, and track outcomes that matter, performance and people, we win twice. Better results and a healthier culture. So one and done is for donuts and not development. Let's lock a 30, 60, 90 follow-up now, and let's ship it. My references are here. And a couple more. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much for checking us out. And thank you for the opportunity to learn from you as well. And please put any comments into the YouTube channel here. My mind is open, and I can't begin to tell you how much I learned from my students. Thank you so much.